Hello, my name is Brandon, and I'm going to be telling you about Baphomet's Son by Gazer Press. This is written by Marcus Shalta. He did The Saint of Brukstad. It's available for Lamentation of the Flame Princess, but you can use it for any other OSR game, of course. Here's the spine. Here's the back. We've got that pink, black, and white look to it again. It's an adventure for a maximum of 5 characters, levels 3 to 4. And then you're going to have your great background history kind of real quick there, letting you know what the adventure's about. But of course, that's just a very small little tidbit of what's all going down. So I make all these videos in one shot, you may have noticed. It's very difficult sometimes because I read these things and then I try to just go through them and remember what I read. I mess up a lot and have to start over tons of times. So it's very challenging. And this is more, not I would say complex, but things that have a lot of kind of moving parts and things to talk about. That's not just kind of blatant, okay, this is an adventure. It's a dungeon crawl. You go through it, no big deal. This has got a little bit more to it. It always makes me bogged down. So I have had some difficulty making this video. It does look good. You know, it's available on Drive2RPG, print and PDF. I'll have a link in the description. This is a good adventure. It's a good dungeon crawl. What's good about it? Well, you've got several. I'm going to kind of jump around because it's going to help my brain a little bit, try to figure this thing out to tell you about. You've got a mission. You're going to be hired by these various people here. It says false friends and powerful enemies, and they want you to go get an item underneath this in the dungeon, in essence. So what I'm going to try to do is just kind of tell you about it in a very quick, easy way here without delving too much into the particulars, because the particulars are, of course, very interesting and very well done, but it makes for a difficult video when I'm sitting here trying to just read out everything that's in here. So these people are going to try to hire you, and they may have different motivations for that. If you refuse them, they may try to come back and thwart you should you accomplish it without their patronage, I guess I should say. So that's very cool. They're well thought out. They have their own desires for it, their own reasonings for it. This Inquisitor here is going to be kind of like your side shithead. He believes that some people are trying to revive the cult of Baphomet, and he doesn't want that to happen. This fella here, this publisher Hans Eberl, which I may butcher some names, so I apologize for that. So it's neat. There's right off the bat, you've got to decide who you're going to join up with to do this adventure. You've got what's happened so far. There's a bit of like Indiana Jonesing, I guess I would say, in the beginning with some people trying to find this Solomon's Crown, which is underneath this town of Nordhausen. In this ancient Order of Templar dungeon, I guess I should say. And so you've got the Nordhausen town. Here it is, and you've got all your people. They're really well listed out here, their ages, what they're about. They're staying in the inn. They've got their various reasonings for trying to get the crown, and everything else is really well set up. You've got places to buy stuff. Access to the tunnels underneath is where you're going to go do your adventuring. There's a shanty town area, a cathedral, cemetery. There's some hirelings. There's even a monkey and an old werewolf hunter. So some very cool stuff right there. There's a tavern. You roll up for what's going on with a D6. Very neat. There's a bishop who's going to be your local bureaucrat. You can try to go get a audience with him. And then there's a bricked up tower, which is almost like a little side quest, which has an excellent kind of trap reward thing going on with it. And of course, I'm going to spoil all this, so I'm just going to go ahead and spoil this because it's very neat. There's an inscription in this hole that says, "Give a human life, accept the gift, and return to the world." Pretty much, if a person falls into the hole, they're lost forever. But this reactivates a portal for 30 seconds and makes Jaws Quaddle's treasure appear above the hole. There's no other way to leave the grotto. And what is neat is that the reward you get is based off the hit points of the sacrificed person. It could be money, it could be strength increased, it could be intelligence. Very, very interesting in the fact that whoever you toss down in this hole, you're going to reap the benefits based off of their stats and who they were. I think that's very interesting. You've got a section here of rumors and gossip. It doesn't say whether or not they're true or false. And then you've got your map. I would have preferred this map to be a little bit before. And the map's not extremely fancy there, but it gets the job done for much as a over dungeon town needs to be. But it's got it all broken down here. Overall, I didn't see many errors when it comes to typos and things like that, so that was very helpful. And it's going to tell you about the dungeon, a game guide, protecting you from this infection that's rampant in these tunnels in this dungeon. You can try to cover up your mouth and stuff because it is through the mucous membranes. And then the effects of this infection that you're going to get. It's going to be ranked 1 through 6, and of course 6 is very bad, and it could lead to your character becoming an NPC, so that's not good. And then you're going to have your main bad guy, Baphomet's son, who's going to be at the bottom level, of course. He's their boss. And one thing is interesting is that this is a story of drama here. This is a sad story. And it's very interesting that I like the fact that he's given you ways to maybe not fight him. He's very powerful, but maybe you can use guile or trickery. You can try to talk to him or escape from him. The more you learn about his sad story, maybe you'll do the fighting and more you'll do some of this stuff. And I think that's very smart. It really breaks down how he is. Now, there is a stats in the back. I would have liked to have had just a little bit more of a physical description of how he is. And of course, I know I haven't told you about what exactly is the deal with him, but I'll kind of allude to it here. So I want to show you mainly what this is going on here. So you've got the Tombs of the Templars. And now you're going to have your dungeon crawl, very serviceable map. Different areas down here are going to lead you to the second levels. You're going to have a crypt. And of course, you're going to have the words written in bold. That's the way that a lot of people are doing stuff now. That's the way that I do it. There's a lot of dogs. If anybody is infected with this fungus that's run rampant, then dogs smell it out and they become rabid and try to attack you. So you can use a lot of dogs in this adventure if you want, like encountering like random encounters and stuff like that, as they're going to try to go nuts when they see you. So if you're infected with grade 4 or higher, they will try to kill you, and that's of course detrimental. So this is a crypt tomb type thing. So you're going to have a lot of coffins and stuff to open up. Some cool dice rolls you get to make to search those coffins. There are many traps. You're going to open up stuff, and spores and cloud of spores are going to go in your face. Rocks are going to come down on top of you. There are a lot of traps in this, and some of them are quite interesting, quite mischievous, I should say, and all of them quite deadly. So I'm going to kind of jump back a little bit. So you're trying to get this crown. It's underneath there. But what else is the story going on? Well, you've got this cult of Baphomet. You've got a meteor. The meteor turns out to be a fungus. But unfortunately, they took the meteor and they made it into a statue of Baphomet, which spread this fungus, spread this infection throughout its ranks and throughout the land. And that's kind of the Baphomet side of it with this Templar, this Order of the Templar. Now, on top of that, you're going to have the sad story, and I'll get to that towards the back. But it's definitely the main three things, well, maybe 3 or 4. You've got the factions. That's very interesting. You've got this whole thing about the infection, and so you're going to have to deal with that a lot. It doesn't seem like something that's going to bog down your game at all. It's just something you're going to have to wonder about. Going into some water and stuff like that may raise up. You may have to roll versus poison to not get the infection, or it may increase your rank of your infection. So you've got that going on. So we've got the fungus. We've got the patrons, the factions trying to hire you out. You've got the infection going on inside the place, and you trying to not get infected, or as least as possible. And then you've got these grave robbers, and these are people in here that are trying to obviously rob the place. They've got their own kind of schemes going on, and you can use them against each other. They will try to go against you, especially this infected Begina here. There is some sections here written in pink with black words. It is not difficult to read. Some people might have a beef with it, but it works and it goes well with the look of the book. So you've got that. So that's a whole thing of NPCs you can use as you're running this adventure to give them life and give them personality, to use them as maybe stepping stones in furthering the adventure, getting past certain things, or they may try to use you to get what they want. So some great role-playing abilities, sections there. Here's a bunch of dogs barking. Again, if you're infected, they don't like you. And then we're going to have our dungeon crawl. The tombs, shafts to burial chambers. There might be a collapse, secret tunnels, blocked corridors. The writing is very good. Stuff is written very well and easy to understand. There's packs of dogs. There's pot helmets, again, cursed, so watch out with that. And some of the curses stuff is good with some bad, of course. You've got a bunch of doors that either are locked or magical that need to be kind of broken down. Portcullises that you can try to bend their bars or lift them up. So it's got a lot of that stuff going on with it. There's a library that's got some neat things going on in it. There's some spells that can be found. And there are some very interesting magical items in this adventure. So you've got a cellar underneath the church. There is some interesting stuff with this mirror that you may look into it, as well as a legend of kind of a, it's almost kind of like a Bloody Mary type story you can get involved in as well. So he's really fleshing out this area and their kind of lore. So then we've got the temple. You can see this map. As you go from the tombs, you're going to get down into the temple. This is going to be all like knee-high water. And this is, a lot of this water will infect you more. There's a lot of rats in this adventure. There are some interesting statues that have been turned from statue to flesh that happens. So they kind of come alive, stone to flesh, I should say. So that's interesting. There are, a variety of different types of creatures in order to fight here, like this spider swarm. There's a bunch of rubble to search through, and I'll talk about a section in the back when it comes to searching through rubble. As you can see, this is all standing water here, and you've got these platforms you're going to walk across. Let's see. You've got wooden crates and things to break into, so a lot of random rolls to find out what's going to be in there, and that's always helpful, and of course helpful if you want to play the adventure over again. And you're finally going to come to the Temple of Baphomet, this statue. You may try to destroy it, and that's going to do some certain things that's going to happen if you destroy the statue. And then you're going to run into Baphomet's son. So this was a child who grows in darkness for 300 years before drinking from the blood of the unbelievers. So a boy was kept down here, and he had a mutation along with the fungus and the infection. It made him pretty much very strong. It made him, his metabolism slowed down, and he becomes pretty much impervious to death. And so he just stays down here, slowly loses his mind as he traverses this dungeon, this bottom dungeon section where he grew up. And he's waiting for his father, and that's where the drama comes from in this adventure. It's a strong element in the adventure, probably the strongest. You could really work on that, especially as you go down deeper and you find out more about this poor boy and what he has turned into. And then your players are going to have to, if they do get that information, decide whether or not they want to take a mace to his face, kill him, or try to not do those things and feel pity for him and try to do something maybe to help him, but not kill him. But you know how players are; they may try to kill him, and he's a pretty stout foe. So I do like this. This is probably the strongest thing of the adventure, in my opinion, other than the different patrons and factions that are going to hire you out and how you can use that for further adventures, as you may, in essence, double cross one or do whatever you want to do in that situation. They may come back looking for the crown or looking for revenge. So very strong thing about this. So I forgive you, I forgive you, I forgive you. All this written on the walls. Lots of stuff to find. Some chests to be looked into. Rooms to be searched. And then I guess this is him here. It's not really described exactly what he looks like in particular, but you can see there's like a little doll here in his hands, and he's almost like just a big monstrous dude who's going to try to wreck you, of course. And then you're going to go through it and find out more of his story. But as you can see, there is a lot to this dungeon crawl. There's a lot of poison, as you see here, a lot of traps. I know I've said that before. There's even a section that doesn't have any oxygen in it, and that's going to be detrimental to your characters because they normally would breathe oxygen. So the inn, and I saw a book of iron sealed with 3 seals, and the voice boomed, "Whoever breaks the seal betrays the only true God," from the prophecies of the feeble-minded priest. So here's that area here that's got no oxygen. There's a chessboard, so you've got some interesting things there, having to move around on the chessboard. A lot of traps, puzzles, things like that you would normally expect in a dungeon. And then these rooms here are going to contain the gold of the Templars. Book of the Unveiling is a very powerful book that's suspended high in this one room. You've got to try to find out a way to get the Book of Unveiling, and this is something that the infected cult of, in essence, Baphomet, they hate, and they don't want it to get out because it's going to explain everything about it. And then you've got the Crown of Solomon, which I like this. A viscous liquid smelling of like rotting vegetation oozes from the crown, dripping off the edges of it. And it immediately, if you wear it, gives you rank 6 of the infection. So here are the prophecies of the feeble-minded priest. If you're able to read the book, what you're going to do is you're going to learn more about it. There's a lot of books in this adventure that give you good information, but they give you experience points, and that's very cool. I always like that. It reminds me of Call of Cthulhu, where if you read something, you gain the benefit of the knowledge of it. So here's kind of explaining about what's been going on in this book. And then chapter 3 is interesting. It describes the death of the reader. So the player rolls 1d8 4 times on the table below to determine the place, circumstances, and type of the PC's death. So you're going to roll up, and let's say we get an N. Let's see, N, the sound is death sounds. Who is present, insects, and the type of death, let's do laughing fit. If your character, past them reading this, comes across this situation, they find themselves in this situation, they will die by this type of death. I think that's very smart. It's very cool. Just great, and something neat to hang kind of over the player's head that hopefully they'll forget about until you remind them, oh, guess what? This is how you die. You've got magical and strange things here, all the magical items that you may find all throughout it. Here are those cards. There's cards that you can get online. I'm not sure if they're in English online, but you can cut these out, get your PDF, print these out, cut them out, and hand them out to your players. So when they get infection rank 1, they can maybe get guilty. You experience the frightening clear vision of a horned god pointing his finger accusingly at you. So these different visions and things that happen whenever you become infected, all the way up to infection rank 6, which will, of course, you are fully going to be an NPC as you have been taken over and you now hail Baphomet. So that's very cool. Anytime you do some excavation, you're going to roll a d20, and some things might happen here. That might, when you're trying to uncover stuff, that might happen. Or when you go to an area of the sewers, some things might happen to roll up there. You've got all your stats there for all your kind of NPCs, and maybe some assassins are going to try to kill you. The Inquisitor, who of course also might try to thwart you, and then the stats for Baphomet's son. And then what lurks in the darkness, some other things that you can roll up as well when they call for them that you may hear. It may be something that the sun is doing close by to give you a cool atmosphere. And then there's a bunch of the stats for the hirelings as well, much like Monkey Fifi, who of course I thoroughly enjoy. So that is a very, I had to say it, and I don't know how long this video is, but that's a brief overview of this adventure. I find it to be very good. I find it to be... It's deadly. It's a tough adventure. There's a lot of traps to try to kill you. It's got a great story in the background. It's got cool NPCs with various motivations. And then it's got this sad story of this boy, in essence, turning into a monster that you may find out through the course of the adventure, and you may have pity on him, or you may decide to end his suffering, or whatever the case may be. But he yearns for his father to be back, and that may tug on some heartstrings of some people, and I think that's a really neat element of this adventure. So there it is, Baphomet's son. A very cool, once again, Marcus is doing some great work, coming up with some really cool stuff. It's so much more than what I've just told you. It's really thought out really well. It's going to be a challenging dungeon crawl. Not one that is impossible, but I think that if you like the story of it and having a dungeon crawl that's actually got some drama and then has some NPC interactions with factions and stuff like that, I think you'll really like it. So there it is. Thank you for watching this. Thank you for subscribing to the channel. Please like, subscribe, whatever the case may be. Send it to your friends, share it, whatever, so that more people know about it and they can check out these great products. So thank you very much.